Welcome in to The Scoop, the number one UNC football recruiting podcast in the world and part of the Inside Carolina Podcast Network. We are so glad you are joining us. Of course, this podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Johnny T-Shirt and JohnnyT-shirt.com, the best and most local place for all your UNC apparel and gear. I'm your host, Ross Martin. As always, I'm joined by Donnie Scoops Callahan, who is on the road. What's up, Don?
Not too much. Just spending some time in the Queen City. What's up with Ross?
Just got back from a week at the beach, and we're going to get to our travels at the end of the podcast. So stay.
All right.
Stay
lots of
for
travels for us. We haven't been on in like a month.
Yeah, we just figured out that we haven't recorded since June. So we didn't record a single episode in July.
Yeah.
I think.
So,
I mean, we may be wrong, but I was looking
a lot has happened since then.
Yes, we have a lot to talk about. We'll get into it here shortly. First, I want to remind our listeners to rate, review, and subscribe to the Inside Carolina Podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, other places. Give us a rating, a 5-star rating. Give us a quick review, and then hit that subscribe button so you get all the different podcasts into your feed. Season's ramping up here. We're going to have tons of content from training camp, tons of previews for games, and of course, all the weekly content and podcasts that we bring to you. And also, some of y'all might be watching us on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to us, Inside Carolina YouTube page. All right, Don, you ready to get into it?
I am ready.
Okay, so here's the layout. We have tons of things to talk about, like always. I think we missed. I think 6 commitments have happened since we last recorded. So those commitments are quarterback Conner Harrell. Is it Justin Canuck? Yeah, Justin
Canuck. Yep.
The offensive tackle, defensive end, edge rusher Bryson Jennings, running back Omarion Hampton, linebacker Sebastian Cheeks, and of course on Sunday night?
Yeah,
late on Sunday night, 2023 quarterback Tad Hudson committed. We're going to talk about all those, briefly on some and more in depth on others. We're going to get into the Daylen Everette and Clemson drama. And what went down with that commitment? He committed to the Tigers after, showing some interest in UNC. And then we're going to kind of close the football discussions with updates on Benji Gosnell, Zach Rice, Travis Shaw, Jake Pope, Andre Greene, and George Pettaway, all major UNC targets for the 2022 class. Some of the kind of the last remaining targets for UNC's class as they try to wrap up 2022 and look ahead to 2023. Sound good, Don?
Yep, I am excited. Have phone muted and everything.
Okay, where are you right now? What's going on?
I am in a hotel. I'm in University area of Charlotte, right down the road from formerly Vance High School, now Chambers High School. I got to go there this afternoon. Was at Hickory Ridge High School's practice this morning. Went to your old stomping grounds, Grimsley High School, yesterday morning. Was at Tad Hudson's practice on Monday. I got a bunch more practices, at least 2 each day for the next for the rest of this week. And I think tomorrow I actually have 3 practices. So just kind of driving around the greater Charlotte area for this entire week.
Nice. Do you think your wife will miss you?
Of course she will. My kids are going to miss me.
This is like their vacation.
Yes, they were excited when I left.
That's right. Okay, sorry, looking at some text there. Okay, so let's get into it here, Don. Commitments. So Conner Harrell feels like a lifetime ago, but he committed to UNC. He's the quarterback commit for the Tar Heels in this class. Let me go through his bio real quick. An Alabama prospect, 6'1", 189. And that we kind of predicted that. I mean, anything else really to share other than kind of we saw it coming. He liked UNC. He visited on his own dime a couple times and then committed.
Just one time, then he came back like less than a week later for an official visit. Yeah, I mean, the writing was on the wall right towards the end, just where, the other schools he was considering were offering other quarterbacks or received commitments from quarterbacks. It seemed pretty obvious where that was headed. And I mean, he basically committed during that first visit to North Carolina, and he kind of made it official silently during the official visit. and then he announced it publicly on the 4th of July. Just wanted to do it something unique, do it on the 4th of July with his family at a family party.
Which other former UNC player committed on July 4th at a family party?
Ooh, good question. I can't remember.
This is bad radio. Michael Carter.
That's right. And he was very similar. Well, Michael Carter committed in front of all the media at the Fedora's Freak Show, and then asked everybody not to release it because he wanted to celebrate in front of his family.
There you go. Michael Carter killing it with the Jets. All right, Conner Harrell. There's a little bit kind of more news now because you have Sam Howell, you have Jacoby Criswell, you have Drake May on campus, and Jefferson Boaz on campus. Now you have Conner Harrell, who will arrive, I would assume, next January, and then Tad Hudson, who committed on Sunday. So you have the whole lineup of the quarterbacks for the next almost 4 or 5, 6 years. Any thoughts on that and kind of where Harrell fits in?
Yeah, I mean, he's going to obviously, the odds are kind of against him a little bit if you're just kind of laying this out, looking at rankings, and then not only just looking at rankings, if you have two guys that are exactly equal, one's an in-state guy, the other's an out-state guy, you go with the in-state guy. Typically, most programs will take that approach. And so he's going to be in between two in-state guys in Drake May and Tad Hudson. So that's going to be interesting situation that we, to see how it plays out the next couple of seasons. The other thing is Phil Longo can start on the 2024 quarterback class right now, which obviously gives him a little bit of a head start there to do that sort of research. So for the next, year or so, he's not going to be doing a whole lot.
Good stuff. All right, Conner Harrell commits to UNC. He's the quarterback for the 2022 class. All right, Justin Canuck.
Yes.
Now he becomes UNC's second offensive line commitment behind
Travion Greene.
And he was a guy who didn't have many offers coming in. The staff must have just liked him, offered him before a lot of Power 5 schools have. And I think we talked about him briefly maybe before he committed. Anything of note there to share with our loyal and valued listeners?
The main thing is that he came to an individual workout and worked out for Stacey Sherrill. So Sherrill knows exactly the type of prospect that Canuck is, and wanted to offer him. He was willing to take his recruitment into the season, but UNC said, "Let's bring you in for an official visit and try to get this done sooner." He took that official visit the same weekend as Conner Harrell did, and he committed before leaving campus. That was like a true sort of, on his way out, or not his way out, had that meeting with Mac Brown before leaving and committed there, and then put it on Twitter on his way home.
What do you think about his game? Like, why did the staff like him so much? What have you seen from his tape?
I'm gonna be honest. I haven't watched a whole lot. I have watched it right after North Carolina offered him. I think, I definitely want to dive deeper into him. He's definitely a big kid. He moves really well. But I do want to kind of dissect him a little bit more.
Okay. There you have Justin Canuck, 6'5", 290 from Bethlehem, PA. So as we expected, this recruiting class is not super, super deep on North Carolina players. There certainly are some, but you have an Alabama guy. You have a Pennsylvania guy. We're going to talk about an Illinois player as well. And, of course, tons of Virginia prospects as well. So it's not as North Carolina heavy. All right, moving right along. We're doing a good job here. Good job, Don. All right, Bryson Jennings. He is an edge. This is an edge rusher, which is the new position designation that 24/7 Sports has put together. 6'6", 235, great size, from Clover Hill High School in Midlothian, Virginia. Now, that's the same town, I believe, as someone else on the roster, right, Don?
No, but not currently on the roster. But God, I'm going blank. My brain is so fried. He was a defensive lineman also.
Yeah.
God, he was at North Carolina for a real long time.
Was it Tyler Powell?
Tyler Powell, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, I knew I recognized those towns.
Same town. Yeah, he went to Cosby though, crosstown. But yeah, same town.
Yeah, Midlothian. I'm seeing it now. You kind of learn these towns, like you see them, you're like, I know that town. And And of course, it's because a UNC player that he recruited or committed went there. Okay, always liked Tyler Powell. He was an interesting guy.
He was an interesting guy.
Yeah. Okay, interesting career too. He was when he played, he was good. Okay, so Bryson Jennings picked UNC over Virginia Tech, the home state, and where his dad played. What went into his decision?
I think ultimately North Carolina did an excellent job with establishing strong relationships with Jennings, and it wasn't just obviously he had a really good relationship with Javon DeWitt, the outside linebackers coach, or edge rusher, or whatever you want to call it, coach, and then also Jay Bateman, but then also Sally Brown got involved. You know, she has an architecture background. That's what Jennings wants to get involved with. So they connected. They talked a bunch. He mentioned a lot of times how, you know, at first it was kind of cool, little unique thing. But ultimately they end up really kind of clicking. And I think that really hit home once he took the official visit. And he mentioned even, and you can understand this, it was difficult for him not to choose Virginia Tech, given his ties to Virginia Tech. But you know, ultimately, you know, those relationships kind of won out.
And now UNC has Bryson Jennings committed, Bo Atkinson committed, and Malachi Hamrick committed, all designated as kind of the outside edge rushers, similar positions. Malachi Hamrick certainly a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more of that, can cover a little more, play a little bit more of a versatile role. But Atkinson and Jennings seem like they're going to be, you know, hand in the dirt kind of edge guys like a Tamon Fox.
Yeah, both of those guys, could easily grow into 4 techniques. I mean, Jennings in person, just seeing him, is an impressive looking kid. I mean, he looks like a college kid. Just he's every bit of, what is he listed, 6'6"?
235.
230. I mean, he's probably heavier than that, but he's every bit of 6'6", and he's thick, you know, and long, and you know, and moves really, really well. I mean, he looks like a college defensive end.
Okay. So we're taking 3, and I know we're going to talk about this later, but Benji Gosnell, there's an idea that he could play defense as well.
Yeah, I think we should just save that for when we get to him.
Okay.
Because that's just a huge rabbit hole that we'll fall into.
Okay. That's a little teaser, boys and girls.
Was it
boys and girls, and actually any gender.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't want to include. There's not just boys and girls.
Yeah, we get caught lots of weird things on Twitter.
Yeah,
that's what we don't need to be.
Probably stop talking right now.
Yeah,
when we talk, the bigger hole we get into.
Okay. Right. Speaking of rabbit holes.
Okay, Xing out Bryson Jennings. It was a big get. I mean, a high 3-star, beat out rival Virginia Tech.
Yeah,
and I mean, I was reading the. I don't often do this, but I went on the Virginia Tech board. I mean, there's a couple fan bases I don't like, and usually it's because of my past on Twitter and covering the team. And I remember the Virginia Tech posters would always talk a lot of shit about me, so I always have a distaste.
What would they say?
I mean, back when I was covering recruiting and stuff, it's just like state fans talk shit about you probably.
Oh yeah, state and probably
like how UNC fans talk crap about Michael
Clark,
who
who
I think is a good guy.
Yeah, I think Mike's a good guy too, obviously. People know that from the message board. But State's the only fan base. I really don't read all that my mentions or whatever just because of all that sort of stuff. But State fans though are the ones that they do it so frequently that I definitely have noticed it. I mean, the weird thing is they'll bring up, like, the one time some guy brought up like an intro article I did on a kid who eventually committed to State and like was trying to, I guess, throw it in my face. I mean, I don't know what he was trying to accomplish, but they do some weird stuff. But yeah, I've never had any sort of backlash that I'm aware of from Virginia Tech. It's always been NC State.
Yeah, I mean, I would rank my fan base hatreds, and actually, this is gonna surprise people. I don't like Wake Forest fans.
Really?
They went
I didn't even know they existed.
Exactly, but the whole fan base, all 30 of them, all 30 of them on Twitter went after me last year.
That's funny.
Threatened my family, my career, my life, my job. That's real
so
nasty.
The other thing about NC State is that for a while I lived in Cary, which is very close to campus. So there was a lot of NC State fans in my neighborhood, and I would go, and that was during that 5-year stretch where State won all 5 years in a row. Mm-hmm. And I'd go out to my car and, like, you know, they would yell stuff at me, and I'm like, I'm just a reporter for, I mean, like whatever.
Did he yell stuff at you?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't from across the street,
I
like
have
just
so
stupid
many
stuff.
state fans friends. I mean, I'm on a group chat with state fans. So I know the whole situation. I'm sure they don't like me, but I think I would get along fine with state fans in general. I used to live in Raleigh. And then Virginia Tech. So it's like Wake, NC State, and then
Well, so my wife is
nice.
from that area of Virginia.
Yeah.
So there's a whole lot of Virginia Tech fans in her family. And I mean, I don't,
You're not a Carolina fan though.
very true.
Yeah.
Although I'm
Okay.
not
Let's
supposed
move
to
on.
know
I know
that.
people hate when we get off topic. Some hate, some love. Love, hate. Down to be loved, born to be hated. All right. Bryson Jennings, good stuff. Okay, big one. Omarion Hampton committed to UNC. Let me get the date right. On July 22nd. It was the last day of ACC Media Day. I was down in Charlotte for ACC Media Day.
It was the second last day of my vacation.
Okay. And you've got someone that's writing all the articles for you now. So
yeah, it's Inside Carolina's is expanding. So rolling in the Bucks, they can hire more people.
Yeah,
help me out.
There you go. All right, 6 foot, 215 from Cleveland High School in Clayton, North Carolina. That's Johnson County, right?
Yes, that is
home of
Tommy Ashley.
There you go.
World famous.
There you go. I was driving through there twice this back from the beach. Number 143 in the nation, number 12 running back.
Well, if you get a ticket there, you know who you call.
Tommy Ashley. Who are you going to call?
Tommy Ashley.
And number 4, North Carolina. So this is a high-ranked kid. I mean, talking about the number 12 running back in the nation. Tons of offers. I mean, an elite. I would consider him kind of an elite prospect. Auburn, Florida, Penn State. The list goes on. Don, what did this come down to? I know there was some drama because he took visits to Penn State and Florida and Auburn. So what's going on? What went on with his recruitment?
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him was that even though all right, let's go back to before June. He set up official visits for every weekend in June to 4 different schools, and North Carolina was not one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously that seemed like it was going to be a big problem, but UNC was able to counter that by getting him to unofficially visit a bunch. I think off the top of my head, I think he made like 3 unofficial visits in June to North Carolina. And then Ohio State, which was viewed as a pretty good threat, they filled up the weekend before his official visit, canceled the official visit with him, which opened up that weekend. And so he officially visited North Carolina that weekend. While that was happening, he was favoring Penn State.
Whoa.
And, there's how much he was favoring.
Speak freely.
I know
it's
you
just
want
me and
to.
you here.
Yeah. How much he was favoring Penn State is pretty high, to the point where he almost didn't want to take that visit. And to the point where even after he took that visit to North Carolina, that official visit to North Carolina, he needed mom and dad to kind of step in they were a big influence on this decision. Mom and dad definitely wanted him to stay closer to home and felt like North Carolina was the best fit for him. And that played a big role in his ultimate selection. And so he actually made his decision right after his official visits had ended. Him and his parents came together, and they made a decision together. Now, he didn't announce it until later. I never quite understood why that was, because I know that North Carolina definitely wanted him to announce it as soon as possible.
Why is that? Why is that?
I don't know. I don't know if it was like a CBS. I thought it was a CBS HQ deal.
No. Why did North Carolina want him to announce? Because
I know that is like this big thing with the quote unquote insiders on the boards, that these silent commitments and all this, and coaches like it. That's not the case. The coaches want it out there.
Okay.
Because it helps recruiting.
Yeah.
They
want him to be locked in. They don't want to deal with him anymore.
Well, it's like this. It's like if you're dating a girl and she's like, well, don't tell anyone that we're dating, or wait until a month to tell people. You're going to be like, what, why?
Sounds
You know
like
what I
you've
mean?
had some experience of that.
I
Hey,
have
Don,
not.
just don't tell anybody we're dating.
Yeah. I just had Ross. Hey, don't tell anyone we're friends. And
Yeah,
that
right.
broke my heart. So yeah, I mean, they want that out there. That obviously gives a positive buzz. It helps them with other recruits, because it's a momentum sort of thing, especially in-state guy, a highly ranked guy, that sort of thing. They want that stuff out as soon as possible. And from my understanding, Mac Brown is one who really hates the whole, like, let me wait to announce. He's cool if you're like, all right, my mom's birthday is on Thursday, can I announce then? He's fine with that. But there have been some guys in the past who have wanted to really kind of been like, hey, can I announce it in 2 weeks when it's my aunt's birthday, sort of thing, or and he had not been cool with that. So Bryson Jennings, for example, he wanted to wait until the season because he wanted to do it at like some sort of school event or whatever, and UNC was like, can we get this out a little bit sooner than that?
So Omarion, is it Omarion?
Omarion.
Omarion. Okay. Firm, everything, anything to worry about?
No, I think he's firm. He doesn't.
Okay.
He never dug the whole recruiting process. If you notice, his dad started to kind of handle a lot of the media responsibilities towards the end there, and that was just because he didn't want to deal with any of that stuff.
And he was, I mean, if you say verbally committed after his official visit, which was started on June 25th, so he was pretty much verbally committed for over a month before, or for under a month, right under a month before announcing on July 22nd. Big running back, big body, and would fit nicely with George Pettaway, who is more of that scat back, a little bit leaner, a little bit quicker, which we'll talk about here shortly. Okay, Omarion Hampton, in-state running back, kind of a must-get for UNC, and fulfills that running back need, but there's still an option to sign one more. Moving right along before we go into a break, Sebastian Cheeks. We'll talk about Sebastian Cheeks, take a break, and come back with Tad Hudson. Okay?
All right. So
Sebastian Cheeks, 6'3", 210, from Evanston Township, Evanston, Illinois, 130. So when he committed, I think he remains the highest ranked commit for UNC in this class, number 15 linebacker, number 4 player in Illinois. Don, there's a lot that went into this. I think a lot of it comes from the official visit, and because that was his only time, and he came back to UNC last weekend. But what did UNC do, and what did Cheeks feel that made him kind of not? I mean, obviously UNC is very far away. I mean, what was the deal here with his recruitment with UNC?
Yeah, I mean, even now when I kind of think about it, it's shocking that North Carolina has a commitment from a Chicago linebacker.
Yeah.
But this is another situation that came down to relationships. He, on multiple occasions, said that he was so tight with Tommy Thigpen that he considers Tommy Thigpen a second father to him. And I think that hanging out with Tommy during that official visit, I guess he was everything that Cheeks thought he was going to be, because that stuck with him, because that was the first weekend of June. He went on to take official visits to Michigan, Oregon, Texas, Wisconsin. Notre Dame was in there a little bit, but they kind of filled up. And even throughout all that visit, and then he also returned to Michigan the weekend prior to his announcement. I guess is more of like a let's be sure sort of thing. And even with all that, he still felt strongly about North Carolina. Once he made the decision, then he set the plans to return for the cookout, just like a celebration sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it came down to relationships, particularly with Tommy Thigpen.
And his game, I mean, was there a comparison you like with him to another UNC linebacker? Is he kind of that classic middle linebacker? What's going on with his game? I haven't watched.
So he is the guy that I think of most when I watch him is Cedric Gray. You look at him.
We haven't seen Gray play yet, though.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a great comparison.
Well, he has played a bunch of special teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I can't think of one, especially within the last couple of years, that we can kind of place him into North Carolina's defense. But the thing is, he's an inside guy, but he's long and very, very athletic.
Okay.
And so you kind of look at his measurables, and a lot of people have done this on the message board, but you look at his measurables and you think, oh, he's an edge rusher guy. And maybe he ends up doing that because he definitely has some blitzing capabilities. But I think he's more of a between the tackles, inside linebacker guy from North Carolina. Their system. If you think about it, Chaz, he did a bunch of blitzing, but he wasn't, an edge rusher in that system. He was still an inside guy. It'd be that sort of situation.
Okay, great. Sebastian Cheeks commits to UNC in the 2022 class, fills the linebacker quota along with.
Well, UNC actually filled the quota with Deuce Caldwell, but
yes, Deuce Caldwell.
But they weren't going to turn away a guy like Cheeks. They were very high on Cheeks.
Yeah, and reading some stuff, I mean, he's a talented guy, and to go out to Illinois to get him is a big deal. Can you name the other player on UNC's roster from Illinois right now?
I cannot.
It's
Vohasek, right?
Raymond Vohasek, JUCO transfer.
That's right. That was a trick question because he went to JUCO.
There you go. All right, we'll be back shortly. We're gonna dive into Tad Hudson, quarterback commitment, the Daylen Everette drama. We're going to get into a whole list of 2022 uncommitted prospects UNC's targeting. Then talk about Don and Ross's summer travels and get into a top 5. We got a lot more left on the Scoop podcast, presented to you by Inside Carolina and JohnnyT-shirt.com. Speaking of Johnny T-shirt, that's our sponsor. I want to shout them out. They're running tons of summer sales. Some stuff is 70% off on the website here. You've got shorts, you've got long sleeve T-shirts, you've got jerseys, navy jerseys, white jerseys, blue jerseys. You've got anything you need for a tailgate, including water bottles, tumblers, koozies, tank tops, all you need to get set for the football season. Going through some more jerseys here. Click in the drop down here on the website, JohnnyT-shirt.com. You have the throwback jersey. You have kind of these practice basketball jerseys, white, Carolina blue, soccer jerseys, anything you need. Go to Johnny T-shirt and JohnnyT-shirt.com. Of course, I always like the sweatshirts. Go to the sweatshirt section here. Don, how about it? I'm a big crew neck sweatshirt guy. So you got navy blue, you got classic Carolina blue, gray, bunch of different varieties, tons of awesome sweatshirts. Head to Johnny T-shirt, JohnnyT-shirt.com. Remember, all Inside Carolina subscribers get 10% off with that discount code found on the premium message boards. So hit that up. Subscribe to Inside Carolina. Get the premium discount code and get 10% off your order. Great customer service, very, very local, right on Franklin Street. Their warehouse is down in Hillsboro. So you want to support them, Johnny T-shirt and JohnnyT-shirt.com. We're going to play some national ads to pay some bills, and we'll be right back to dive in more on UNC football recruiting on the Scoop podcast. And we're back to the Scoop podcast on the Inside Carolina Podcast Network, presented to you by Johnny T-shirt and JohnnyT-shirt.com. All right, Tad Hudson committed to UNC, a 2023 quarterback from Huff High School in Cornelius, North Carolina. He's a 4-star, 175 in the nation, 14 ranked quarterback, and number 3 in the state of North Carolina. Don, you gave me a little heads up. You had a little bit of a heads up knowing it was coming on Sunday night, coming after the Carolina Cookout. What happened here? Have you got an interview with him yet?
Yeah. So it's not up just because of the whole situation. And I was going by his practice on Monday night anyway. It's like I might as well just wait until Monday to interview him.
So you talked to him on Monday. We're recording this on Tuesday for those.
Yeah. And I have not had a chance to run it because, as everyone knows, Tuesday got the weekly scoop. So I was working on that until 1 o'clock in the morning. So I have not even touched the Q&A with Tad Hudson.
Hey, no big deal. All right. So what's going on? What was the reasoning? Why now with this, pretty high ranked quarterback that I think a lot of people thought was going to be UNC's quarterback in this class?
Yeah. I mean, this seemed like it was inevitable, especially the deeper you dive into this, his sister is the longtime girlfriend of Drake May. I think they started dating like in middle school. And so his family and Drake's family are super, super, super close. Drake May is not just a quarterback at North Carolina. His entire family are just intertwined with UNC. If you don't know, then I'm not going to get into it. But So it just seemed destined to be at North Carolina. The timing, really, if you look, Tad visited a bunch of schools in June. Clemson, Ohio State, Florida State. I mean, on and on and on. I mean, a bunch of different schools. And ultimately, that was kind of like just, all right, let's visit these schools. If I don't find something that is better than North Carolina, that's I'm going North Carolina. Mm-hmm. And he actually said that during he visited North Carolina earlier in June, and he actually wanted to just cancel the rest of those visits, and commit to North Carolina. This is what in the Q&A, he told me. But his dad said, no, let's stick to these visits. Let's do these visits, and once that's done with, and you still feel the same way, then we'll roll with it. And so basically, he came out of June and was like, I still feel the same way about North Carolina, and they had planned on making a commitment at the Carolina cookout, which is why everything started to kind of leak out a little bit prior to the actual cookout.
Oh, so it was going to happen before that? Or like there was buzz about it?
Yeah, there was buzz because he made the decision that he was going to commit at the cookout prior to arriving.
Gotcha. So he was a solid commit.
And so obviously, well, he didn't actually commit until the cookout. But my guess is that they told somebody and it just kind of got out a little bit because it definitely was on the message boards from people.
Now, big quarterback. I mean, 220 as a junior, 6'3". What is he, kind of a pocket guy? What do you like about his game?
Yeah, so he's definitely more of a pocket guy. I think the best thing about him is that he has just natural arm strength, natural ball skills. People are going to point out the fact that he didn't look great at the Showtime camp, didn't have a great sophomore season, but the tools are definitely there with him. The other thing I really like about him is that the mental side of just not, moving on to the next play is not a problem with him. He's very just happy-go-lucky guy. You cannot tell what happened the prior play by talking to him because he moves on. So even if he throws a bad pass, it just doesn't matter to him. It matters, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So I really like that side of it with him.
Now, I had some friends concerned about his sophomore season, that he wasn't as productive, wasn't very elite in terms of his production. How would you answer that? That maybe UNC should have waited, or what's going on? What do you think about that?
So I think I definitely understand the concerns. If you look at it, he completed 55% of his passes, which with the talent he has around him should be higher. He also had it was like a 16 touchdown passes, 9 interceptions, which is concerning. When I went to his practice, I talked to his head coach. We'll have that later on this week, next week, sort of thing. And I asked that to him also. I asked his quarterback coach, Chris Olsen, who is a former 4-star quarterback himself. They both blamed it a lot on COVID. Charlotte in particular, they had a lot more restrictions than the rest of the state. I think they weren't able to start practicing until I think it was a week before the season actually started. They had some guys like Evan Pryor and a bunch of other guys who had been with the team for a while that all of a sudden graduated early and left and didn't play with the team. So he was dealing with a lot of new targets. It was actually his first season as a starter. He played some his freshman year and actually started a bunch of playoff games because of injury, but he didn't start his freshman year. And on top of that, he had Olsen. It was his first year as a play caller. So you have all these new things going on with him. And I think that all contributed. I did feel like just kind of watching him at the Showtime camp and reviewing the film afterwards that maybe there's something weird going on with his release, and maybe he can work on that will kind of help a little bit. I didn't notice any issues when I watched him at practice on Monday. I don't think it's a huge concern because he has the tools. I mean, he just throws it down the field without much effort.
Okay. Good breakdown there. Tad Hudson, UNC's first commitment of the 2023 class. Briefly, Don, what do you think about his first name?
I have no problem with his first name.
Okay.
Do you have a problem with his first name?
It's funny. This is great. I put on Twitter that it's a combination of Chad and Todd, which are the two most kind of bro-y, American names. Chad and Todd, you get Tad.
Okay.
Tad is a cool name.
You get great analysis from we cover these things like no one else is talking about his name in their analysis.
Yeah, it's a funny name, Tad. All right, so get to know him. I mean, he's going to be a commit, and he's going to be a UNC quarterback, and we're going to be talking a lot about Tad Hudson for the future.
Let me throw out one more thing, and I know that you're sick of hearing about it. I feel like this class, there is not that guy who is helping recruit, that front and center guy. Harrell's definitely trying. He's in Alabama, completely different time zone, so far away. The kids in state and Virginia don't really know him. Tad, though, I think can be a guy who in the 2023 class really recruit. Not only is he an in-state guy, kids know about him. He's the quarterback for the Carolina Stars, which is the top 707 program in the area. So I think that's going to help with the 2023 recruiting. That's something that we haven't really talked about too much.
How is the 2023 class in North Carolina?
I think it's going to be better than the 2022 class. I mean, so much of this is we're still dealing with COVID not allowing kids to really kind of emerge, and I really expect a lot more guys to emerge during this coming season.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, we're running right through here, guys. All right, the Daylen Everette Clemson drama. I remember when it happened. Was on the group chats. People texting me. He during his commitment video. Was it on HQ, CBS HQ?
Yes.
Yep. He picked up. I think I was driving back from like Maine or something. He picked up the UNC hat, tossed it away, and then grabbed the Clemson hat. I think we knew he was going to commit to Clemson. But that was a little disrespectful, and I think it kind of was played out on social media with a lot of people chiming in, including his parents, including a certain Scoop podcast host, or Scoop podcast guest. What are your thoughts about that? I mean, I think it was obviously a lot of stuff on the boards too. I didn't read it all, but
yeah. So I watched it. And I saw what happened, and I was leaving the next day at 3:00 in the morning for my vacation. So I didn't catch. I saw some of the stuff on social media and everything. My take, and I've talked to a lot of different people, including sources in North Carolina. I've exchanged some text messages with his dad. I feel like it was a spur of the moment thing. There's only so many ways you can pick up a hat and put it on. We've been seeing these things for 20 years now. And we definitely have seen the guys pick up one hat, to kind of throw people off and toss it to the side. I don't think that there was anything malicious behind it. I think he just was trying to just go straight for the Clemson hat, put it on. That's my honest opinion from what I know about the whole situation before and after the fact. I don't think there was anything else to it. I think that once it happened, and then, if he would have picked North Carolina and done the opposite, UNC fans would have freaking loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, would they not? Am I wrong?
Oh yeah, disrespecting.
And then it's just crazy that there's some of the UNC fans on Twitter that I saw were calling it classless. So it's just like it's very hypocritical from that aspect. My feeling is that once he did that, once there was backlash and it was being called classless, the parents felt the need to kind of be like, defend him. I mean, he's your kid. I mean, I know how that is. I mean, I know you don't have kids that you're aware of, but you in that situation, I could definitely see how I would react, and my first instinct would be to protect my kid at all costs, and to infer something happened. I mean, really, what it boils down to, there's only a few people who truly know what happened later on. I think at the very least, maybe there was some hurt feelings.
With who? I'm going to ask some questions here. So,
I don't know. This is me making assumptions. I
hurt
know
who's hurt feelings. Everett.
I'm assuming Dre Bly. Okay. And here's why: is that Dre Bly? You got to remember, this is a guy who's made plenty of money in his life. Okay, he's set. He doesn't have to work. He is coaching because this is what he wants to do. and he wants to do it as alma mater. And he doesn't approach this like a business. You know, he puts his heart and soul into his recruiting, particularly when it comes to guys in his area. And so I think it's been very heartbreaking for him to spend all this time recruiting kids who have grown up playing on fields that have his name and establishing relationships. I mean, I don't know if Everett's dad's one of them, but there are a lot of parents of recruits that grew up with Dre. And so he's known these families for a very, very long time. So I think he's taken a lot of this stuff. I don't want to say personally, but it's been harder. Like a lot of other coaches have been able to, when something like this happens, like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
Ray, you know, this is a guy who wasn't like a grad assistant, didn't get to kind of watch from the sidelines closely and all this sort of stuff. So he's just kind of thrown into the fire. So he's kind of dealing with this sort of stuff. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was a little bit emotional. I'm not saying he was. I don't know. I wasn't there. But I still don't think that there was anything from what I know of and all the people I talked to that happened that North Carolina did wrong that caused this kid to purposely grab the hat and toss it. I just think it was just a spur of the moment thing.
Okay. We're going to try to limit the rambling here. I'm going to read some stuff.
Okay.
Our boy, Coach Glover,
responded
to Everett and said, I don't think I would have thrown the hat. And then Daylen Everette said, y'all don't know what happened. And then Glover said, no, I'm truly happy for you, champ. I don't know what happened, champ, but whatever happened, never sink. Always use that moment. You could always use that moment that you could retaliate to rise. It was entertaining for the haters, but something like that can hurt your NIL. It was nationally viewed. He did use a lot of semicolons, which was pretty cool. So what, you know what happened? Y'all don't know what happened.
I can only assume that on the phone call when Everett finally told him it was going to be Clemson, that Dre Bly didn't take it. You know.
Okay. And I think the dad is at some point chimed in too. It's a bunch of tweets and stuff, but y'all can go look at it. There's tons of stuff on the boards about it. It was about 2 weeks ago.
I just don't. I know that everyone thinks that. I just don't think anything happened. I know that Dre was recruiting him. That there was conversations between the two parties up until the very end, and you know, I mean, I don't know. I just don't think that there was anything major. I know a lot of people on the boards got mad at me because I wouldn't just kind of spill. I just don't think there was anything. If there was, I don't know. I just don't know.
Okay. Well, Daylen Everette, which, you know, at some point it was thought that UNC was definitely in it. Definitely, you know, there was a good chance he could have committed to UNC. Felt good about it. He committed. Now, was it true that he was a silent commit to Clemson for a while?
I don't know. Okay. Now I know that's one of the assumptions, and maybe that was something that pissed off North Carolina, or pissed off Dre Bly in particular.
Because I heard that too through my sources.
Yeah, I mean, I heard that there are rumors that he had been committed to Clemson. He committed to Clemson during that visit that he took with a couple of IMG guys that they all committed together. I mean, I don't know if that's
so. UNC's is still having trouble with landing IMG recruits. Nothing new there. Another example of this. Clemson also gets Jaden Lucas, who we thought he was going to go to Clemson anyway, but just a guy that UNC definitely had some interest in and took an official visit to UNC. So the two main targets for the Tar Heels at the corner position do commit to the Tigers. What remains for UNC on the cornerbacks board?
So right now there's no one. And so I mean, they're you know, obviously like a guy like Marcus Allen could potentially play corner, even though UNC kind of views him as a eventual safety. But I think what UNC will do at this stage is that, I mean, most of the top guys are already gone somewhere else. You're not going to all of a sudden just kind of pull someone. Yep. There are some guys who are committed to schools that UNC could probably kind of steal from, but with the season right around the corner, from my understanding, the staff's just going to kind of wait to see what happens, see if anyone emerges, anyone plays better than they expect, that sort of thing. You know, I mean, a year ago, Dante Belfour wasn't on UNC's board, and now he's in Chapel Hill.
Okay. All right, cool. We'll move on from that. We got to break down a list of 6 different recruits. We're going to do it quickly, Don. Couple sentences on the update of each recruitment. Again, there are some articles on Inside Carolina for premium subscribers on a couple of these guys, Gosnell and Rice. I know there's 2 articles up on them. And then if you read this week's Scoop, there's some a couple tidbits on a few of these players. Let's start with Benji Gosnell, who I think deserves the most attention. We have not talked about him for a long, long time. Committed to Ohio State. We did, I think we both agreed, and you, that there was a chance that he would decommit at some point, and it happened. He's from Mount Airy area, and he committed to Ohio State without even visiting. He has since decommitted. He has visited Clemson, and he's visited Carolina. What's going on with him, Don, briefly?
So he's going to focus on those 4 schools right now. Any additional schools that jump in and reach out to him.
Those 4 schools?
I'm sorry. Those 2 schools plus Virginia Tech and South Carolina.
Okay.
And then, whatever other schools might jump in, and just kind of make sure he takes his visits before making a decision, the next decision.
Okay. Position. He was a tight end for Ohio State. What's going on now?
So UNC is just going to recruit him as an athlete.
Okay.
I guess if you want to lean one direction, I think we list him now. I think I put him on the D-line board as an outside linebacker. He could be a inside linebacker. He could be an edge rusher. He could be a tight end still. I asked about that, and they said he could be a tight end. He's just an athlete kid that you kind of figure it out once he's on campus.
And it feels like, from reading what you wrote, that he's not going to rush into a commitment.
No.
He's going to kind of go through his recruitment as an uncommitted prospect for at least a couple months, and get in some games, get in some official visits with other schools.
Yes.
Okay.
That's his plan.
So we'll have updates with this throughout the season as this recruitment continues. Okay, Zach Rice. We all know Zach Rice, the number 1 offensive tackle. He's visited UNC, I think, 6 times, countless times, and per your article, is yet to make a decision. And it definitely feels like it's dragging on, which follows the UNC staff, I would be very annoyed with. Your thoughts on what's going on with Zach Rice?
Yeah, I think this still could go in any direction. I think anybody who feels safe about a particular school's chances is not informed on this, because I think he's just he's unpredictable, and I think that he doesn't know what he wants to do, and he's making the right decision and kind of waiting it out, and he's just going to see how things roll and kind of go from there.
Do you think him waiting is good or bad for UNC at this point?
Good question.
Thank you.
It's not a good sign, but I don't think it's bad for North Carolina. I think that, the fact that he's visited North Carolina 3 times this summer, and more than I think anyone but maybe Virginia, is not and he's still not committed. It's not a great sign.
Yep.
But I think that UNC's even though he said he doesn't plan on taking that last official visit, UNC still has that they can just kind of talk him into, and use that, and that maybe that ends up being what kind of seals the deal for UNC later on. The other schools can't use an official visit, so
I'll just say what I think. You don't have to say anything because it would kind of not be a great look for you. I think he likes the attention. I think he likes the drama. I think he's enjoying the recruitment process, which is all he can. He has that right. He's being recruited by all the big schools. And I think we've been covering this pretty intense this summer. You'd think he would have committed by now after taking all these visits. He hasn't. So I think he just kind of likes the social media aspect and the attention, which, hey, that's a big part of being a top recruit. So there you have it. That's the Ross Martin analysis. All right. Travis.
I love
Shaw.
it.
Yeah. Travis Shaw.
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying I love it.
Yeah. Travis Shaw, number 1 defensive tackle prospect in the class from Grimsley High School in Greensboro. You talked to his staff, his coaching staff, his coaches on Monday. He was at UNC again, a great sign. It sounds like it's between Clemson and Carolina. Anything to update here?
Well, George is still in there. I would suggest so it's down to those 3 schools plus North Carolina A&T. We touch on it a bunch in the weekly scoop, so I suggest reading that. I think he's another one where this can go in a lot of different directions. I think Zach gets his done, I don't know, early, mid-season. But
Zach
I think,
or Travis? Oh, Zach.
Zach.
Okay.
But I think Travis takes us all the way until signing day.
Okay. And
even if he does commit, I don't expect him to commit, but I think he's going to be like a a sign day commitment sort of thing.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, if UNC does not get him, do they take a defensive tackle?
If it goes the way I think it goes as far as the timeline, then probably not, because UNC won't offer a defensive tackle unless he's completely gone.
Yeah.
And even then, I mean, even if he commits, it's just, I mean, it's just, you kind of almost think until he signs, it's not done sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Crazy commitment. Crazy recruitment. Okay. Jake Pope, a guy that's still out there. We haven't heard much noise from him. He's got a list of some elite top schools. And I think for a bit there, we thought it was maybe going to Notre Dame. He's still uncommitted. What's going on with him?
Yeah. I mean, I texted with him, I guess a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, said that he was having difficulty making a decision. Officially, he hasn't narrowed it down to any schools. We have in the weekly scoop have been talking about, a couple of schools that we think it's down to. He did return to Georgia this past weekend. That may or may not mean anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it really surprises me with him that it has gotten this far, just because I really think that he's a guy who wanted to get this done before the season, because at Buford, football is really, really big. It's basically like a job. So yeah, I don't know what to expect. The only thing is the longer this goes, I think it's better for North Carolina, because I think the other schools that are involved will fill up, whereas North Carolina will wait it out for him.
Yeah, I remember you saying that in your article, and you actually just explained why. Cool. Okay, Jake Pope, UNC's top target at safety out of Beaufort, Georgia. Andre Greene, big-time wide receiver target for the Tar Heels, was on campus for the Carolina Cookout this weekend. He's out of Virginia. What's going on with Greene? I mean, this is a guy that UNC's kind of gone all in with, despite Andre Greene's has interest at a lot of different schools across the nation.
Well, a lot of these guys, if you think about, UNC's going all in with, which is kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, he's just kind of moving along with the game plan that he's had. He's supposed to come out with his top 6 probably by the time you listen to this. He'll have his top 6 out there. North Carolina will make the list. It's one of 2 schools that he visited twice in June. I'm sorry, during the summer. He visited a ton of schools this summer. And he'll have 2 official visits remaining for the season. I think who gets his official visits will be key. And yeah, I think this can go in a lot of different ways also. But I think we'll gain a little bit better understanding once he comes out with his top 6.
Okay, Andre Greene. Have you talked to him yet since his visit to UNC?
I've spoken to his father.
Okay.
So, and we'll have something up after the top 6 is announced.
Okay. And the final guy, George Pettaway, was also at UNC this weekend for the Carolina Cookout. It feels like, just from reading kind of your stuff, that he's leaning towards UNC based on spots filling up at other schools and his closeness to UNC and his relationship with the coaching staff.
Yeah, so he plays at a position to where, there's only so many guys you can take. Typically schools don't take more than 2 running backs in a class. It's very rare. And so when you kind of look at all the schools that he's considering that he has actually visited, and you play I call it the recruiting math with it, it kind of looks really good for North Carolina. At the same time, he's a kid who tries everything he can to make sure you don't know what he's thinking. And a great example is that when I called him a couple weeks ago, or actually I called him a week ago, I said, "Are you going to the Carolina Cookout?" He said, I decided I'm not going anywhere this week, but if I go anywhere, it will be to the Carolina Cookout. Or actually, I think my question was, are you making any visits this week? So, I immediately, and I said this in the weekly scoop, I immediately took that as he's going to be at the Carolina Cookout. He just didn't want to tell me that, but he didn't want to lie to me. So, and of course he showed up, and there was never any question, at least from the sources I spoke to, that whether he was going to be there or not. Yeah, I mean, USC is in a great spot with him. I know that I've been, I guess the last holdover. A lot of people have been on board as far as him being part of this class. For a while there, Penn State was a legit threat, but they have filled up, as I mentioned, and so I think it's just a clear path for North Carolina. The only threat really is Virginia, and I don't know if we really would view them as a threat.
Okay. I mean, I think if they get Pettaway and Hampton, that is a great haul at the running back position.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't.
I'm a huge fan of Pettaway as a player.
Yeah, he looks
and
great.
just as a competitor. Is
Talk
a
to me.
kid who just in camps just takes every single rep like it's the Super Bowl. And then even though, despite how good he is, walks around with a chip on his shoulder. It's just incredible.
Okay, quick game here. We just talked about 6 players that are the big-time remaining recruits for UNC.
Oh, boy.
Of those 6, including Gosnell, who is a kind of a late addition to this group, how many do you think UNC gets? Signs. So Gosnell, Rice, Shaw, Pope, Greene, Pettaway.
All right. Man.
Good little podcast game.
Yeah. So I am. Man. People aren't gonna like this. I think I'm going. Can I do a half number?
No. Pick a.
No. Oh man. All right. Let me go 2.
Wow. 2 out of the 6. And I'm assuming.
I wanted to do. I want to say 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I wanted to do 2.5. Like if we were putting this on, sports books, we
over
would,
under 2.5.
Yeah, the over 2.5. I think I would place the.
And I'm assuming you think Pope and Pettaway are going to commit.
That wasn't the game.
Yeah. Okay, great. 2. Wow, man. If they get 4, that'd be huge. I think Gosnell, Lever. I mean, his position is not one of need. I mean, I think one of Zach Rice and Shaw would be a win.
Well, I think 2, and I have not been told this by sources, or any source, but I think if Gosnell really kind of takes his time with this, then they might just kind of get bored and be like, dude, we don't, we kind of filled up, we kind of have what we need in this class. You know what I mean?
And the tight end position is just not as important to UNC as other schools.
Well, and it's not even they're not even really considering him a tight end. And you know what? It's a school that I actually, because I don't think Clemson, I don't know for sure, but I don't think Clemson will end up offering him. But in talking to him, the school that he seemed really interested in was Virginia Tech.
And he's close to there.
Yes. Well, and he's even closer now because he actually transferred across the Virginia border to, couldn't get that word out, to Carroll County High School.
Why did he transfer?
So I don't know if you remember when Steven was being recruited. Steven actually, he played at East Surrey, and the family moved to Virginia, and they didn't start at. So they started at the other school. Both him and Benji didn't like the school, like whatever the team or whatever it was. They quickly transferred back to East Surrey. My guess is that they probably didn't move back, but I don't know the logistics of that. And played Steven's senior season, and then obviously Benji played his, I guess it was his junior season this past spring, and then maybe they just decide just to stay at the home school in Virginia.
Okay. So they're in Virginia now. Okay, cool. All right, Don, what do you think now? We've gone over an hour, I think. Do you want to just do our travels and then save the top 5 for next week? Next time we record.
I mean, we can. Yeah, I guess, because some of these top 5s have already expired somewhat anyway.
Yeah, and then we can do the next top 5 the week of the kind of.
We need to get life questions.
Yeah, so we tried to tease this last time. We'll tease it again.
We got one, and I don't even know if it was real.
We're gonna do a life question. We're gonna do any type of question you have for us.
Life question is probably a misleading topic. I think it could be anything.
It doesn't have to be life advice. It's just our thoughts on certain things, maybe is a better way to phrase it. If you want our opinion, our thoughts on anything that goes on in life, it could be anything. Food, travels, definitely. Interactions with other people, job, career, love life, family, it's kind of a conversation starter essentially. Send those to me
Yeah.
at rossmmartin@gmail.com. That's rossmmartin@gmail.com. 2 M's in the middle. Or DM me on the Inside Carolina message board, and we'll do the new top 5 for the next. We'll preview that the next show, and we'll do this top 5 that we have set of the next show. It relates to recruiting and stuff, and the next one will relate more to the season. So that'll be good for that. Let's talk about our travels, Don. We both took a week or two of vacations. Where did you go? I heard you were up in New York.
Yes, went to Niagara Falls. Have you ever been? That's my big question.
I haven't. Heard
All right,
great.
you as a waterfall now, let me ask you the whole waterfall experience for you. Is it about the trail to kind of walk to it and kind of, and some of them are difficult, or is it just kind of being there and one with the waterfall? What is it for you?
I mean, it's both. I mean, I know I've seen pictures of Niagara. I mean, it's a tourist attraction, right?
Yeah.
Drive up. There's hundreds of people probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like the ones that people can get to easily. But I mean, it's obviously a magnificent waterfall. I would love to see it. I've been to some big ones like that in Iceland, actually.
Oh.
But I've heard that Niagara is awesome. So what did you do? What was the trip?
So we stayed in Buffalo.
You drove up.
Drove up. Yep,
Okay.
drove up.
You and your
Fortunately,
family.
fortunately for me, my wife loves to drive, so I just sit there and work. Although
You
the
work on the drive.
internet, what's that?
You work on the drive up.
Work, watch TV. On the way back, I was watching the UFC fight. That sort of thing. But the internet was just so in and out. I was really disappointed. But anyway,
on the hotspot.
Yeah, the hotspot. So if anyone has not, I'm not a big pushing vacation ideas, but Niagara Falls was awesome. It really was. And everybody talks about the Made of Mist, which is freaking awesome. And what it is you get on a boat with a bunch of other people. They take it really, really close to the one waterfall, and then you go right in between, I guess, the 2 or 3 other ones, and they go really, really. I mean, you get soaked.
Aren't you wearing like a jacket or something?
Yeah, so they give you ponchos for this one. Yep. So you get soaked. It is awesome. But I loved they call it the Cave of the Winds, which is they give you, not only do they give you a poncho for this, but they give you sandals, which are like hardcore dorky sandals. But you wear them just because they're hardcore dorky. Yeah. All right. So, but the cool thing with that is they kind of just let you go. Like you walk, and it's like this wooden thing, and it goes into the waterfall. So I mean, you're feeling the power of the waterfall. There's tons of off areas where you can go and take photos, videos, and all that sort of stuff. And there's no time limit or anything like that. You just kind of go and just kind of walk and just kind of hang out. And it is.
You're inside
it is awesome.
the waterfall, inside the caves.
Yeah.
By the that are part of the
so you
rock
were right.
structure.
So you start right next to it, and then you eventually walk to where the steps you're going up are water's rushing down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I mean, it's not overpowering or anything like that, but I mean, and there are different parts where it's right there. The water, and it's absolutely incredible. It's one of those things where you just can't describe it. You're gonna have to experience it. So I definitely, anybody who hasn't done it, and it's not expensive at all. I think Made of Mist is $25 a person. The Cave of Winds is $19.50 or something weird like that. So really cheap vacation. Obviously, you have to go up there and all that. But even hotels weren't that expensive up there.
You stayed in Buffalo?
Stayed in Buffalo. We ate at the birthplace of the Buffalo Wing, which was pretty cool.
You flats or are you a flats or a wing guy? Flats or
I'm a flats.
What's the other one called?
Is it drumstick?
Drumstick.
Is that what it is?
I think so.
I'm a flats guy. What about you?
Yeah, I guess flats. Get that big piece of meat off there.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite sauce? What's your favorite sauce?
I like to mix it up. I mean, I like to go hot, really hot.
Like Buffalo?
Yeah, so I like to go really hot, but then I'm a big Parmesan garlic guy.
Ooh.
So if I get two sauces, I'm getting not super, super, super hot, but I definitely do that from time to time. But I'll do their level up hot, and then I'll do the garlic Parmesan. What about you?
Well, all right. Follow up. Ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch, for sure.
Okay. How many nights did y'all stay up there?
6 nights.
Jeez, what'd you do all day?
So, well, I mean, so we did Niagara Falls 2 days. You made a miss one day there, and the Cable Winds the other day. But then when you go there, I mean, there's tons of stuff. I mean, it's this big, huge park. So you walk around, and there's like, so there's the park stuff where there's tons and tons of trails. You can do all that sort of stuff. But then there's also like right next to it, a lot of touristy sort of things. So, I mean, there's plenty to do in Niagara. I mean, not for a full week, but definitely for 2 days.
Okay.
So, and then the other thing I didn't do, but my family did, because I was doing some work stuff or whatever, was they went at night and ate down there, and they light up the falls with different lights, which is
that's cool.
Yeah. So, which is pretty cool. But
so you drove 2 days, hung out there 4 days, stayed in Buffalo.
No, we drove up there one day, left 3:00 in the morning, drove up there. And yeah, and so basically we did things 6 days.
And then drove back.
Yeah. So we did other stuff. I found out later that, so we went to the beaches of, one day we went to Lake Erie, and the other day we went to Lake Ontario, which are cool. I found out that they're very unsafe. Like we can only eat like 2 fish a year or something from Lake Ontario, or else you'll die. We didn't eat any fish. We went kayaking in downtown Buffalo, which is kind of cool. Yeah, I like that just because we've done kayaking nature-y. This is like you're going through, the different buildings.
There's like a river through Buffalo.
Yeah. I think it's like canal controlled or whatever. But cool. Yeah. So that was kind of cool.
I think when people look at you, the last thing they think is a kayak guy.
Well, that's what they should. They should not see a kayak. Here, I am not an outdoors person.
Yeah.
If this wasn't clear.
Breaking
news.
But,
I mean, it's cool to do every once in a while.
Yeah.
I like kayaking. I think it's cool. I mean, because it's very relaxing. Go at your own pace. I mean, I would assume that you're a kayak heavy guy.
Yeah. I mean, actually, hot take here. I mean, it's kind of boring.
Really?
I mean, I love water and stuff, but canoeing, kayaking, like, it's cool, but it's not like.
I think it's more of relaxing.
Yeah, it's cool to be out in nature. I think it's cool how you're like very part of the water. You're so low to the water. I need to get a canoe or kayak. Get all that stuff set up. It's kind of all the outdoor stuff is really expensive now because of COVID. Like I was gonna get bikes. I was gonna get a mountain bike and a road bike this summer, but the used bike market is crazy high.
Yeah.
So I'll postpone a year. Hopefully the factories catch up. You asked me my wing preference.
Yes.
So I go to this place called Wings Over in Chapel Hill. I think it's a chain. They're pretty good. I like a medium buffalo hot. So I will get a buffalo, but like medium spicy. Don't like it too spicy. But then I'll go something like a Cajun barbecue.
Okay.
I'll love trying. You know how I'll try anything. Like kicking barbecue is usually what I go. Kicking barbecue, Cajun barbecue. But damn, I love trying anything.
Well, I definitely. So I'm fortunate. My wife likes wings too. So I like to go someplace you order like a big load of buffalo wings and get different flavors. I like doing that.
Yeah, and of course, if you get 16, maybe you get 4 different sauces or 3 different sauces.
It depends on the place.
Yeah. So you like garlic parmesan? Is that a dry rub or you like the wet rub?
I like both. And usually it's whatever the place does.
Yeah. You're a big wet rub guy. Knew that the minute I met you. Okay. Do you want to hear about my trips?
I do. So you went to Maine.
Long podcast.
Well, the people who don't like the non-football talk, they've turned off already.
Yeah. So since we talked, went to Asheville and the mountains for the July 4th weekend with some friends, and then immediately drove to. I was in Philadelphia for a day.
What you doing? So I saw tweets about this. And here's the thing. I grew up in Philadelphia. Like a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm from Jenkintown or something. No, I mean, I grew up in Northeast Philadelphia, the Frankfort neighborhood of Philadelphia, across from McAvane Park.
Okay.
But you are right. I mean, I moved out when I was 18, and that was over 20 years ago. So yeah, I mean, clubs in general, if that's what you're looking for, they have changed and been knocked down. I don't go to clubs.
What
were you were looking for nightlife, right?
No, food. I asked for food and breweries.
Oh, well,
Yeah. Like,
I mean,
all right. So we got,
yeah. So tell me, I'm more interested in the Philadelphia one because I completely forgot you.
the
one.
pork sandwich, roasted pork sandwich
Okay.
at like the big market.
Okay.
And then no cheesesteak.
No cheesesteak.
Went to a couple bars, walked around. I mean, I had never really explored Philadelphia like I did this time. I was only there for 24 hours. But yeah, I mean, nothing special. I actually got some Thai food, which it wasn't that great. But I wish I got a cheesesteak. But you're eating and drinking. You know, sometimes you don't have time or space to get a cheesesteak. But the pork sandwich was very good. Yeah, that was it. And then I drove to New York. Stayed in New York for a night.
Okay.
And then drove
New York
to
City.
Drove right through New York City. People honking. Parked my car in some lot. Guy was yelling at me for no reason.
I did. So I know this is your story, but I went to the Yankees game and parked in one of those lots, and I didn't leave my keys. I'm not going to freaking leave my keys. But anyway, so the guy was pissed when I came back because I'm sure you experienced this. They park them like super close.
Yeah.
And when they get a car, they pull the other ones out. Well, they couldn't do that because they didn't have my keys.
How do you let you park there without taking your key?
I guess, I mean, I don't, it was a while ago. I guess I gave my money and left sort of thing.
He took my key. I paid through this app thing, and he took my key, and I was like, all right, hope everything's there. I was like taking stuff out of my car. I was like, all right, I need this.
Yeah.
I was yelling at me. I like dropped my earphones.
Yeah. You got to be quick.
Cars are backing up.
As I tell my wife, you can't be Southern.
Yeah. Why are you yelling at me? I literally am not doing anything. Why are you yelling at me? Okay. So then we had a basketball commitment. Like the transfer was like happening that morning. So I did that, and I drove to Kennebunkport, Maine. Met with my family. Big family trip. Parents' 50th wedding anniversary. So my mom, my dad, my brother, sister-in-law, and then their 3 kids. So whole family for like 10 days, 9 to 10 days in Kennebunkport.
Was Preston there?
I don't know who that guy is. Kennebunkport for 2 days, where the George Bush family has a compound.
Yeah, you told me about that, where you almost got arrested by the.
That was last year. This is the second time I was there.
Okay.
And then we drove we got a house outside of Acadia National Park. We were there for like 6-7 days. So, and I drove back. And I got to tell you a story off air that happened on the way back.
Why can't it be on air?
It's not safe for any sort of ears or any sort of work ears. But it was wild story.
We don't get paid extra for this, so it's not necessarily work.
And then got back ACC Media Day week, so I was home for a couple days in Charlotte for 2 days, and then back on the road to Ocean Isle Beach for a week with some friends.
You invited me.
What?
You invited me.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, did you not? Maybe you didn't.
Remember. I mean, it's empty.
We talked, and you said that you had 2 more nights. Come on down.
Friends from all over. So we had friends from a couple from Seattle, 2 friends from San Francisco, 2 groups from San Francisco, a friend and his wife and kids from Copenhagen, Denmark.
Oh, wow.
And then
That's cool.
Me from Chapel Hill and a friend from Asheville.
Did you have a lady friend with you for the couple stuff?
Did not, but it was couples and kids, and then like a single room, like a bunk room for all the singles.
It's like a kiddie table.
Exactly. Yeah. Just shitty bunk room. I couldn't fit in it. It was like for a 5'10" person, and my feet were on the floorboard or the footboard. Uncomfortable. Hit my head on the wooden thing like twice.
That's key for me to have a sleeping arrangement that's comfortable.
Oh, of course, it's the most important thing. All right, we gotta get out of here, guys. Thanks for listening. If you stayed on through all this, a lot of information on here about UNC's 2022 class, the recruitments, the commitments, and even the commitment from the 2023 class. Thanks for listening. We're going to record in 2 weeks with the top 5. That includes a lot of talk about the team. So we'll do a little team stuff. And by that point, training camp would have started. It starts Thursday. You'll be listening to this by Wednesday, Thursday. So we'll have some, maybe I'll share some team scoop during that time, since I'm no longer on the Beat podcast. This is my only podcast.
You got kicked off?
I don't know. I mean, it is what I'm not on it. That's all I gotta say. I may be back on it, but I'm just right now.
Well, then we gotta go hardcore with the Scoop podcast. Then
we may go heavy team. I mean, if you want team scoop,
let's do it. Hey, let's mix it up, because we'll
talk some team.
All right, let's do that.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Appreciate Giant T-shirt, giantt-shirt.com. We will talk to you next time.